1. Panel, ladies and gentlemen, history, culture, and national identity are all social constructs. Social constructs derived from the past, which largely was dictated by the victor or ruling class. The common denominator between developing states like many African countries, majority of Latin America, and even in the Philippines and parts of Asia are that we once had colonial masters who are developed countries, the likes of the British, the Spanish, the Japanese, the Portuguese, who for far too long have created a huge gap of power asymmetry and economic capacity between the developed country and the developing country, the haves and the have-nots, and continue to oppress us and treat us like second-class countries through the levers of their hard and soft power. We believe that rejecting the social constructs indoctrinated upon us is the only way to be able to liberate us and reclaim a sense of culture and national identity, which for far too long have been whitewashed and culturally appropriated. The victors of war, who have taken all the spoils, form perverse incentive structures in policies and economic capacity through political dynasties that create the 1% or ruling elite, the bourgeoisie, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to stand for the middle class, the majority of people who represent the proletariat, who are here to be able to fight and free us from the shackles of our colonial past. They have been in the dark for far too long. The path to victory of closing government is very simple. Number 1, why do we have to lie and how are we going to do it? This is something that our opening mentioned but didn't make out, and it's quite right for opening to question how that's going to happen. I'll deal with that later. The second thing is, why is there a need to have a unified national identity? This is the so what part of the argument to explain why it's important and why it has to be through the methodology of lying we best bolster that. And thirdly is an economic incentive structure to be able to reclaim autonomy and break free from the soft power of our colonial masters who, even if we have tokenistic independence at best, continue to treat us like shit. What is going to happen? The first part is I'm going to explain how do we lie and why is historical revisionism the worst case something justified. Number 1, we're going to do this through counter narratives and counter propaganda to unearth a lot of our history that has largely been whitewashed and culturally appropriated. We want to reduce the levers of political clout of the colonizers by editing books and text, because these books are embodiments of ideologies that are carried and spread throughout society. That is to say, doing nothing makes us an accomplice of these colonial masters, wherein historical revisionism, something that they've done already with all of the things pre-colonial to our era, largely stifle our capacity to really unlock the truth. That is to say, in order to make the current society and the future cognizant of that, we need to lie in order to reduce the capacity and leverage they have over the stories and narratives that they shape in society. The second way we're going to do this is by reclaiming national symbols in order to create and provide a sense of national unity. In the Philippines, for instance, we have a lot of national symbols which are largely less Filipino than they are fucking Spanish, because these individuals, no equity meant, I love y'all, you have good paella, have been here for 333 years. To a large extent, a lot of what we know as Filipino and even what we know in terms of our animistic and culturally diverse past has largely been whitewashed. What we have in status quo is something we perceive as a social construct to be the standard and the truth. We question the lens of that truth when we actually are able to dismantle the power structures they have, when we are able to lie and tell these particular individuals that you were not as important or powerful as you claim just because you've won the war, you gave us Catholicism, and you've granted us independent, so to speak. Whoever is the POI, go for it.
I have two things for you. One is you're uncomparative when you talk about historical revisionism because that's a different thing. It's not the same as falsifying. Second is if your case is like you want to break free from soft power, I think our case already beats for extension because these now have the agency to deny you legitimacy and you get locked out of any and every resource that you want to achieve.
I'm saying that historical revisionism in status quo is exactly what motivates us to falsify it. You might say, oh, Joseph, you're doing the same bad thing as them. Yes, exactly. We're here to symmetricize an otherwise asymmetric power dynamic when we're able to free them from those shackles. Your second POI, even though I'm obligated to only answer one, is the economic incentive becomes when other people look at us, they won't see us as puppies of our previous colonial master. They have a sense of autonomy because now we frame us to be more unified. It makes us something more investable and makes us think that, oh, we actually have a chance to be able to be a tiger economy in Asia as opposed to being beholden to the West or to Spain. The second thing I'm going to talk to you about is the idea of why exactly it has to be reclaimed through the particular idea of these things. And the reason here is because currently in status quo at worst, people are very apathetic. People feel like they don't have a lot to lose because they're hiding amidst this hodgepodge lie of plurality and religious culture and identity, meaning they're worried about being too real because they might be sensitive towards other people. We think that's completely a farce and that's a lie. We want to break through all of that and tell people that you are Filipino, you are from this particular country, you have the most to lose if you don't have faith in democracy and lose track in terms of what your country is supposed to be because you're so worried about what other people might think. And the first step to be able to get there is ultimately when we're able to reduce that power that people already have because of the things they've done in the past. What we tell you from our side of the house is that this is the best way and a justified way in order to empower the middle class and allow people to have a sense of autonomy, reclaiming our identity. We are very proud to propose.